Welcome to Sound Up. I'm Mark Goodman.
And I'm Alan Light.
Sound Up is our chance and yours to talk about everything going on in the world of music, from new releases, big A-list interviews, and big conversations. We cover it all.
And we do it like this. We deliver 2 episodes each week, one on Tuesday and one on Friday. On Tuesday, we feature the latest music news, big interviews, and everything you need to know about what's going on in the music world.
Plus, we feature our new music picks of the week. And don't forget that you can hear all of our new music picks on our Spotify Sound Up soundtrack playlist.
Then, on our Friday episode, we read your emails, play your voice messages, and invite you to be part of our live podcast taping. You can join the conversation as part of the Sound Up Pod Squad.
All right, so you want to stay on top of all things Sound Up related and to sign up to join a live taping, go to our website at sounduppod.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on X and Instagram, all at SoundUpPod.
This is Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light, the only music podcast that matters.
All right, let's do this. I'm Mark Goodman.
And just like the man said, I am Alan Light, and welcome to Sound Up.
On today's show, we are talking about bands that each of us really like, that we feel should be so much more famous. Each of us has our favorites, and we have picks from you, the Sound Up Pod Squad, via audio messages, social posts, emails, and of course, from our live audience here with us right now, our Sound Up Pod Squad.
And lots of social and email responses on this one, so we'll get into those a little later. We also have a bunch of music news to get to on Elvis and the State of Graceland, Kid Rock, Snoop, all the greats. And we have audience reactions to past topics. As always, we love to hear from you when you go see a show, like this concert review from a show I am sad that I missed the New York City stops.
I bet.
From Neil Young and Crazy Horse, we got a review from our friend Pod Squatter, Zerbity Blurb.
Greetings, Sound Up crew. This is Zerbity Blurb reporting back from seeing Neil Young and Crazy Horse in Mansfield, Massachusetts. I'm a little hoarse after screaming my ever-loving head off all night at the show. This show made me immensely satisfied. Took me back to being 4 to 5 years old, sitting underneath my father's stereo listening to Live Rust. It clicked on all cylinders for me. I could not be happier. I know that there was some negative press recently from the shows in New York from Jem Aswad. Could not be further from the truth. Yes, if you wanted to nitpick, there was a few missed notes and beats here or there. Fuck it. Half of these guys are 80 years old. I give them the pass. And where the audience may have been a little bit lost, Neil and the crew knew exactly where they were and what they're doing. The set spanned from the late 60s, everyone knows this is nowhere, up to the early 90s, pulling a lot from Zuma as they opened with Cortez the Killer with the infamous missing fourth verse, and later pulling out Barstool Blues, which, oh my God, I screamed like a little girl. This must be what it feels like to be a Swiftie. We got a mini acoustic set, which really scratched those Live Rust itches. And then the full band came back out for a number of songs, Down by the River, which culminated in a swirling mess of guitar feedback between Neil and Micah Nelson, Willie Nelson's son, on guitar. He had a mind-melting solo towards the end of that song. And then a organ floated in from the rafters, to which Micah manned and swiftly started the final song, Like a Hurricane. By the time it all ended, my face hurt from grinning ear to ear for 2 hours. I could not be happier. I am on cloud 9, floating higher above anything else in the world. If only I can float above these fucking cars trying to get out of the parking lot, but that's a different story. As always, hugs and kisses to everybody. Take care.
Nice report from our man Zerbity Blurb. We need an explanation on that Zerbity Blurb name someday, or we could just leave it.
I'd love the explanation. As we said many times back in the day, it is a joy. I think Roger agrees with me on this. It is a joy to hear a Yale graduate saying, Zerbity Blurb, here's Zerbity Blurb.
I do agree.
You dance with who brung you. We love them whatever they go.
There you go.
I'm doubly impressed that Zerbity Blurb is paying attention to the New York City reviews, because overwhelmingly the people who wrote about the first night's show at Forest Hills said how great it was, even though it was raining and there were sound problems and there was stuff. Our friend Jem Oswald wrote about the second night at Forest Hills. I don't know that he said so much that they were missing notes. I think he really said it just, the tempos felt really sort of plodding and kind of sludgy, and he felt like it was just held back and, didn't explode in that way. I was glad to read somebody not just punching in, oh, it's Crazy Horse, so it's great.
Right.
I don't know, since I was not there. And we know with Neil, you get what you get on any given night. Mm-hmm. So I'm prepared to believe one was great, one was not, and then the next one was.
I got to say, before we jump to the next one here, there was a moment there where Zerbity Blurb was like, they're just gentle old men with a memory problem. It was like what they're saying about Biden. Well, he gets a pass because he's an old guy. Come on. They're doing it.
They're not giving those tickets away either.
Come on.
Comparing Neil Young fans to Swifties? That's got to be really like the exact opposite, that crowd, as opposed to the Swiftie crowd.
Hey, look, both of them can be, will collect all the unreleased, all the special edition, all the vinyl only. Right. I mean, the Neil Archives project. Right. He just did a Neil's version of Ragged Glory, basically, recut all of those songs. So, it's not the craziest comparison ever.
It's somewhat different, though, because he just puts them up on his site. You go there if you want, or you don't.
Yeah, but you got to subscribe to the site. Yeah. You're still, he's still.
Does his fan club have a name like the Swifties? Do they have something?
They must.
All right. We also got a message from our pal Mary in Cincinnati in response to our discussion on Randy Travis and his AI assisted track.
Hey, Sound Up Pod, it's your second favorite resident from the 513. This is Mary in Cincinnati. I wanted to call and take the discussion that Joel started maybe a step further, talking about Randy Travis and AI. I read the other day that Randy's actually doing a tour. It's called the More Life Tour. From what I understand, his manager and his band are going out. Randy will be with them. They'll be playing all of his songs live, or several of his biggest hits live, using a singer by the name of James Dupre, who I admittedly am not very familiar with, but understand he has worked a lot with Randy in the past. Now, Randy evidently is okay with this. He's going with them. From my understanding, he will be on stage for part of the time. I don't know if he's going to try to sing with them or if he's just there to enjoy the music. I also understand you can buy meet and greet tickets with Randy afterwards. So I wasn't sure what to think about this. I posted it on the Volumaniacs Facebook page and got some mixed reaction. Some people said, hey, this is a great way to hear one of your favorite artists again, a great tribute. Other people were like, no, that's just weird and uncomfortable. So I was wondering what your opinion was. I don't know, as our artists start to age out or have medical problems that won't let them play anymore, is this a way to keep touring alive? Is this a way to hear live music? Is this something that a Linda Ronstadt or somebody might do? I don't know. I'm on the fence about this. I feel like it would be an uncomfortable setting, but as I said, I'd love to hear what you think about it. All right, guys, thanks a lot, and I'll be listening.
All right. Thank you very much, Mary.
None of this Randy Travis stuff is easy.
I don't know what to say about it.
No, I don't. It's hard to envision exactly what that's going to look and feel like. We've had situations with replacing the singer. We haven't had a situation where you replace the singer, but then the original singer is still there, just hanging out. Even if we know that he's not capable, as we've said, the people mostly generally, it seemed like, are more okay than not with this AI single.
Because he's involved in it.
Is it Randy Travis putting the set list together?
Or is it AI?
What's the acceptable level of involvement that you're going to feel okay with? Obviously he's involved in this stuff, so he's active, but so I don't know. It puts a lot of pressure on how you stage that and like just what it feels like to look at. But it's interesting because this is, he's certainly making himself a sort of a test case for, being somebody who is here and functional, but sufficiently incapacitated that he's not able to sing, but still be involved in his career as this technology is emerging. Somebody's got to try it.
Listen, I think what he's doing is pretty amazing, in all honesty. I think for someone who wants to continue doing what they do as long as they can, he's using whatever technology is available to him. He's in charge of it. And he's, like Alan said, he's going to be a test case for it. And I think it's pretty daring for someone at his stage in his career to even attempt this and to so far be successful at it.
Hey, these are all valid points. They're all points worth discussing. I think for next week's show, for our next week's Sound Off show, this should be the topic.
Yeah, I think so. I think if it's come up multiple weeks and has a couple of different extensions, we should see what people make of it.
Yeah, let's hear what the people have to say. That's it. All right, let's take a fast break. When we come back on the other side, we've got music news. Oh my gosh, Kid Rock has found out what the problem is. That's next.
This is Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light, the only music podcast that matters.
All right, welcome back. It's Sound Up, and we've got some music news for you. First up, a wild story about Graceland.
Yeah, maybe you guys have heard about this. Maybe you've been following it. It's been getting CNN coverage and national coverage, and a story that has changed pretty much every day this week.
Nuts.
Earlier in the week, the first thing was the announcement that there was going to be, that planned for this Thursday, was a foreclosure auction of Graceland. That the Graceland property was going to go up on the auction block because Lisa Marie Presley had taken out a $3.8 million loan, borrow something from some questionable company in Florida that nobody's quite clear who they are or what they do. They presented as evidence this notarized lien from her or whatever, saying she put up Graceland as the collateral against this loan.
But
Riley Keough, Elvis's granddaughter and now the sole executor of the estate, jumped in and filed a fraud suit against this company, whose name I continue to forget.
Nosani
Investments and Private Lending. Gregory Nosani.
Right.
She said this never happened. The notary public, whose seal is on the document, says, I never met Lisa Marie Presley. I never had anything to do with this document. I don't know what this is.
I want to see the document, because especially if this notary never met the woman, whose seal is on there?
Whose seal is on there? Or did they have it sealed, somehow get it sealed done and then fake a signature? So the suit was fraud. The judge on Wednesday ruled, we're going to put a hold on this auction tomorrow until we sort out what's going on with this fraud situation. And then a few hours later, the lending company dropped all claims on the property.
And skittered off with their tail between their legs. The company that was accused of trying to defraud the Presleys emailed and said they're not going to move forward with the claim, would not proceed, and I don't know, there's a whole legal action that needs to be filed in multiple states, and nobody is quite sure what the details of this email is, but the effect is there was no harm meant on Ms. Keough. I love this from People magazine. There was no harm meant on Ms. Keough. Quote, someone named Gregory Nosani said in an email to the Memphis Commercial Appeal. Someone named.
So
that was the guy, though, who they couldn't find
him. They had a non-working number was what was attached to this company.
Right, in the freaking complaint, the number was fake.
So the Shelby County Clerk's Office confirmed that it has not heard from Nosani Investments since the end of the hearing, but they sent this email saying we're not going to move forward, and as I understand it, that should be the end of all of this. I don't know if we've heard the end of all of this.
It seems like, as far as Riley is concerned, and as far as the property is concerned, it seems as though that's solved. But there's some other stuff that needs to be prosecuted. It seems, no? I'm not a lawyer. But
again, I don't. Does this mean what this is? This $3.8 million? Is that? Have we confirmed that was a real? Was the loan real? Yeah. It was the whole thing fabricated. These guys,
that's what I mean.
Are they in fact total fraudsters and will now disappear very, discreetly and we'll never hear from them again because it was a shakedown? Or is there something that, has to be handled? Is there a loan that they'll repay and that'll be the end of that? The details are very, very questionable around all of this, but the Graceland property will remain with the current owners. I believe that if I remember this right, the Presleys own 15% of the Elvis, the full estate.
Riley, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Riley, as the executor, holds a minority piece, but still a piece in the Elvis Legacy Company. So this could change again. Again, we don't know what it is. My suspicion is we're not going to hear any more about this story.
Well, I hope we hear a little bit more. I want to find out where's Kurt Nasani, who says he left the firm in 2015. And also, my God, Riley's entire family is in the backyard. Her dad, her grandfather.
And certainly begging the question of, if you did put it on the block, what does Graceland sell for? Like, how do you put a value?
Exactly.
You know what the revenues are, what the ticket sales are, there's stuff that you can measure. But as we've talked about endlessly in a lot of these kinds of estate situations, what is the future earning potential? Is that going up or down? What are the other things that you could do with it? Now that there are all these they're Airbnb-ing the Purple Rain house in Minneapolis, right? So is there an Airbnb opportunity for what happens moving forward with Graceland property is certainly the question that comes up around this.
I slept last night in the jungle room.
So
crazy story.
I won't say not many questions have been answered. Questions have been raised and now they're going away without any particular answers to any of them. So now watch this. We got another crazy story, and I'm going to tie these together because on the old PBS concert series that I worked on, we shot an episode with Kid Rock at Graceland performing in the Car Museum. And there are photos of me and Kid Rock sitting at Elvis's piano in Graceland. So we're going to move from an Elvis story to a not quite believable Kid Rock story. By the way, this was before Kid Rock lost his goddamn mind.
Well, yeah, the question is, had he lost it, or was he just covering up the fact that he was a freaking nut to begin with? But Kid Rock says that he sometimes tells himself to shut the F up after political outbursts. He delivered a series of increasingly typical controversial comments during a Rolling Stone interview. Reporter David Peisner aimed to establish how much of his seemingly extreme right-wing arguments he really believed. And the guy was unable to reach a conclusion in the article. The story is how Kid Rock went from America's favorite hard party and rock star to a MAGA mouthpiece. That's the question a lot of us are asking, I think. Kid Rock discussed a short film that he had made with Sean Penn. The message was, don't let politics divide us. Thinking differently is what made this country great. He commented that things more relevant now than when we made it. The message isn't getting across. So asked if Rock himself was making it more difficult to send that message. He said, I'm part of the problem. I'm one of the polarizing people, no question. Sometimes I bitch about other people. Then I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh yeah, why don't you shut the fuck up too? He's saying that to himself now.
This piece is worth reading and worth remembering what magazine journalism can do. It's so nuts, and it's true. Does not clarify ultimately in any way what Kid Rock actually, how much of this is an act, how much of this is what he believes, how much of this is, knowing that it's going to hype up his profile. By the end of the story, Kid Rock is waving a gun around.
Well, he was drinking. Right.
Spouting the N-word and basically holding the writer hostage and refusing to let him leave. Showing him YouTube clips and keep saying, no, let me show you another one. No, this will be the last one, I swear, because the guy's got to get back to his car to get out of the property. And you just get, it's like, it's not a Citizen Kane thing or a, Sunset Boulevard thing, but it really does feel like this dude has trapped himself in this crazy isolation and just works himself into, some sort of hysteria.
Posner is saying, he says, one theory several people I interviewed offered is that his right-wing awakening is as much about managing the emotional fallout of a waning career as it is about any deep-seated beliefs. This is what the writer says. He's always longed for the spotlight, and now as a 53-year-old, more than a decade removed from his last big hit, he's doing whatever he can to keep it on him. He remains a big draw when you're accustomed to the endorphin hit that comes with being at the white-hot center of pop culture. You may find playing a casino in Sacramento or the fairgrounds in Gonzales doesn't provide the same rush.
All I know, you've heard me say it before, I spent quite a bit of time with Kid Rock back in the day. Did multiple stories with this guy and spent time with him. And he was not this guy. He liked to play up, his sort of crazy redneck side, but this was not remotely where his head was or what he was talking about. He would, whatever. He had different class issues. And as this story points out, was brought up in relative luxury. This is a guy who grew up on an estate outside Detroit. His dad had a car dealership. This is not, somebody who grew up working class. He had to work his way through that. But, there was a point where the guy that I knew somewhat, I ceased to be able to recognize in at least the public proclamations of what we see from Kid Rock.
Yeah, I interviewed him a few times back, at MTV, and he always seemed very kind of self-aware of his image. And he was always kind of like this very soft-spoken, kind of relaxed, chill guy. When I interviewed him a few times, he just seemed very cool, very smart, and not at all like this is like it's a different person.
He always seemed like the guy who would be banging his head to fight for your right to party to me.
And I think had that sense of like it's not fair to say got lucky because he worked hard and nobody gets there and stays there just by getting lucky, but appreciated like, man, I sort of figured this out. And I'm going to enjoy it. And he loved living large and he loved having his plane and he loved all of that stuff. So the notion of this is a way to hang on to, celebrity.
I don't get that.
Maybe, but I don't get it over and over and year over year. I think this sense of sort of crazy isolation and like losing himself in his own brain is what comes through most in this piece. People should go read this story. Also that apparently the writer had been trying for months and months and months to get Kid Rock to sit down and do an interview, which he wouldn't do. And then on a sort of last gasp Hail Mary, apparently he was like, okay, come out here tomorrow.
So is that what someone who is struggling to stay in the spotlight would do? Rolling Stone is calling to do an interview with me. Let me put them off for 2 months.
Well, you can see the tortured, like, is this gonna help me or hurt me? Or I don't need that. I got I get the attention that I need from where I'm going to get it. And that is where the piece ends.
Well, right. He's drinking later in the day.
You'll read the quotes there.
He delivered a series of outbursts that on the face of it appeared to be bigoted. And as the writer, as Posner left, Rock told him, just write the most horrific article about me. Do it. It helps me. Will you tell everyone that I was halfway cool is what he said to the guy he was wandering.
But that's the best because it's a pause.
Yeah.
It's
the guy's walking out the door.
It's all that he said. Yeah. Write the worst thing you can write about me. That's only going to help me. And then as the guy's walking away, as David's walking away, he yells out, if you just kind of make me look halfway cool, though. That's the whole thing.
Yeah. Once again, watch this space. Let's see if he turns up at any rallies or which rallies he turns up at.
You got another icon here.
This is amazing. Snoop? Who is Snoop Dogg these days? He's friends. Oh my God. Snoop is set to auction off his own memorabilia. Is this a major new revenue opportunity for the artists? That's the question. Music memorabilia is a big booming business. And you tell me, Alan, Snoop getting into this is not, anything crazy. I mean, the fact that he's selling off a lot of his stuff, fine. I get it. Not that he needs the money.
Everybody's doing it. Why not?
Yeah. No, I got no problem.
What is he selling?
He's probably got jewelry and stuff that he wants to get rid of. He said a gold, ruby, and diamond crown ring designed and worn by Tupac. That apparently went for over $1 million last year to Drake. The catch, it says in this story, if many and not most cases, the artist or their estate got nothing. These items ended up in the hands of people who knew how to monetize them, and the profits went to the seller and the auction house, which commonly takes 20 to 30% off the sales price. Snoop I think is going directly to the people, is he not?
This is direct-to-consumer play? Is that
cutting out the middleman?
Is he going to be on QVC with his stuff? It would be amazing.
How great would that be? Call me now.
I could see it. I could see that in a heartbeat.
The Snoop Shopping Network. Come on.
This is the shit that we have, but we didn't know it was worth something. That's what he said about the project called The Shiznit. I gotta love Snoop.
How that universe has transformed. I'm reading Michael McDonald's memoir right now, and he talks about how he found he had an envelope that he wrote the first lyrics to What a Fool Believes on. The Doobie Brothers publicist at the time was David Guest.
Oh my God.
Mr.
Mr.
Minnelli. And he was like, he saw the envelope and was like, hey, can I have that? And Michael McDonald was like, yeah, should I take it? I don't care. And he said the next time he saw it was hanging on the wall in a frame in a Hard Rock Cafe.
Yeah.
Where David Guest had sold it for, I'm sure then hefty, that now would be 10 times more hefty sum. All right, one more story that's really dumb and not even really a story, but you may recall a few years ago, there was the story about I think hiker being chased by a coyote, and she blasted Metallica on her phone and it chased the coyote away. Because I remember we had a discussion on our old show about what would you play to chase a coyote away as a topic. So this is the follow-up to that topic. A black bear made its way up a tree in a neighborhood in Golden, Colorado, and wildlife rangers did everything they could to get the animal down, including blasting Black Sabbath's Iron Man as a way to get the bear out of the tree. As it turns out, this particular bear, if not a fan, certainly wasn't bothered by the song. The Colorado Rangers with the Colorado Parks and Wildlife Northeast region were called to the neighborhood after a bear got into some trash that was left out overnight, then climbed up a nearby tree with seemingly no intention of leaving anytime soon. I like this quote on Twitter from wildlife officials. When you're out on a bear stakeout, you think it's going to be all action. You never think you're going to spend 6 hours in a car waiting on a bear to stop sleeping and climb down from a tree. And yet, the bear came down, they tried to get it away, it climbed up another tree. They got a drone to try to get it out. That didn't work. So then they started blaring music at it. What they played was Iron Man. But the bear remained in the tree, was not fazed by the Sabbath song, eventually came down after the humans were gone at nighttime. So this is a reminder, from the wildlife officials, this was the post, bears are cute but still very much wildlife animals, so don't leave your trash overnight, and also, black bears don't mind Black Sabbath.
This is not the first time that this kind of thing has happened, and it's happened in political situations as well. In fact, in the War on Terror,
yes,
the U.S. used the songs The Real Slim Shady by Eminem, the Meow Mix theme song, and Fuck Your God by Decide to torture various people in prison. The United States invaded Panama and took Manuel Noriega, and they were trying to get these guys to come out of the woods after being continually bombarded by hard rock music, including Panama, the Van Halen song, and the Howard Stern show for several days. Noriega surrendered on January 3rd, 1990. So it works. It doesn't work for bears.
It works for dictators. It doesn't work for bears.
I'm going to put a post up on our socials and ask people what songs they would play to get a bear out of a tree.
To chase a bear out of a tree. You think this was just a bad choice? You think that the point here is Iron Man?
They played a great song. Why would the bear come down? I mean, didn't South Korea do this? Weren't they blasting Britney Spears music at
Britney Spears, yes. Hit Me Baby One More Time, I think, over and over.
Then there's the other flip, which was when 7-Elevens were playing classical music in their parking lot to try to chase teenagers away who were hanging out.
Yep. That's really wild. Classical music to chase teenagers away. That's all the news that you need from us here on Sound Up.
Maybe a little more than you need.
Perhaps so. Perhaps we overdosed you on it. Stand by. We'll make up for it. Coming up next, bands we think should be more famous. And your comments, audio messages, and reactions from our live gathered Sound Up Pod squad.
It's your turn to sound up right here on Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light.
All right, welcome back to Sound Up. So we're talking about this a little bit earlier in the show. It seems like everybody has a band that they love, that they even champion, that they feel should be bigger than they are or bigger than they were if they're even still around. we're going to make the case for a few of ours, and then to our gathered pod squad, we're going to open the floor to you and see who has what about who. Simple as that. Band that you love that should have been bigger, should have been, it should have been a contender.
And I know we've got some voice messages. We got a bunch of emails and posts to read. Connect@sounduppod.com is always the place to reach us with your thoughts on questions that we ask or on whatever the hell else is on your mind.
Exactly. Whatever the hell else. So, Alan, I'm curious.
We're going to call on me first? All right.
Why not? We'll go to you first. You're the journalist among us. You have the chance to be exposed to a wider array of music than most of us. And so it's easier for you maybe to find a band that should be great that got lost somehow. I'm
bad at this game because I think almost everybody is bigger than they should be. Like that's usually my thought about this is almost everybody doesn't really deserve to be as big as they are. So I can always give you the reasons that somebody isn't more successful than they are. So it's a little harder. This is so old that it's not even remotely relevant, but it is usually my answer because this is such a bet that I would have lost back in the 90s. Which was I absolutely believed that a band that Rick Rubin had signed called the Four Horsemen were going to be a massive band. Very AC/DC, hard rock, sort of bar band hard rock. And I was just like, that's a huge record. Like that I heard and nobody cared about that record.
Yeah, I couldn't name a song.
No, well, I remember the first track was Rockin' Is My Business. Business is Good. I don't know if that was the single or just the opening song, but I would have lost all the money on that one. But the thing that I think about a lot, I remember talking to, this is a million years ago, talking to Ryan Adams' manager about this, who was a friend, or maybe the label head, basically saying the bet with somebody like Ryan, who there was a point where he would have been my answer to this, but then blew himself up, so we know why he didn't get bigger. But there are artists like that you bet on, and if they just have that one song, it totally changes the playing field, right? Yeah. There's Neil Young with Heart of Gold and there's Neil Young without Heart of Gold. And those are two totally different careers. So a lot of times I think about people who are pretty, they're pretty big and they have a career, but they don't have that song that was the big hit that then opens all the doors when you have that song. So somebody who I love and talk about a lot and we've talked to a lot, but Tori Amos to me is always like, Tori was big. Like Tori was magazine covers big and, continues to sell out theaters and has a thriving career. But like with one song that would have been the thing that the world knows her for, that would have been a completely different career and a completely different legacy. So that's one of those, I don't know how much bigger, like by ticket sales, but bigger in sort of the public imagination. Yeah, right. Yeah. Somebody who I think is more important than people give her credit for because there isn't that piece in the story. So that's somebody that I think a lot about in terms of how, I don't know how big to say Tori is. I think she should be a bigger deal. Bigger than she is.
And not to say that she isn't big or influential.
I'm going to stand on that for my answer.
I like that one. I think that's a pretty interesting one. I would tend to agree.
I mean, a lot of these answers are like some band that I saw in a bar. They were great when I was in high school, and like, why didn't? But like, shut up. Like,
no.
There's many.
I'm not going to go that deep.
But that's one that I do think there's a bigger level that I would have wished for.
Well, especially cool that she. I mean, I don't know what the likelihood is, but like you say, still around.
Oh, and there are plenty of people who embrace that and who thrive at that level, that don't have the pressure of, oh, you're the girl with that song. Like there's different expectations and things that you have to do that come with that in some ways, that can be fine. You hold your lane and you're able to do what you want. It's, this is, you don't always want to wish that on somebody. That's what I'll stand on for an answer. So
I like that one a lot.
What are you coming with?
It was weird when we first started to talk about this. This one artist leaped into my mind, but he was current, very current. And if we would have been doing this, say, I don't know, maybe a year and a half ago, I would have been right up with this guy. It's a moot point now, but I would have said Teddy Swims. But Teddy Swims
he got there.
He got there. He's all over the place. And I remember because I went to see him about that long, a year and a half or at least ago, and was talking with his manager about how great he was. And I said, he just needs that one song. He needs that one song, like Heart of Gold, you know. However, that's, you know, he made it. So great. The band really that is consistent for me, somebody that I listen to consistently, somebody that I mean, they are kind of around, but for me, they're not what they should be. The band that I love is Little Feat. And I've seen them live a ton of times. I saw Lowell George when he went solo. It was incredible. Song after song covered by all of these different people. So many artists love that band and love Lowell George. And yet, you know, they never quite got up to that superstar status. You know, they were like not an also ran. That's a little bit harsh, but kind of like
a dear friend of mine who you've met, my one friend from grade school, my friend Sam.
Yeah.
Huge Little Feat fan. We have, I won't say big fight. The fights are all on his end of how is it possible that Little Feat isn't in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
I wouldn't go there with you, Alan.
Every time that I see him, I get ready for that. So,
yeah. What do you need to be massive? You need great songs, you need to be a great live band, great playing, great vocals, maybe really cool rhythms. They have it all. And yet, you know, how does a band that does a song like Willin' not become major superstars? That's mine.
Because Willin' gets to be a bigger hit with somebody else singing it.
Exactly. That's my point. So, Little Feat, absolutely my band. And as I said, they're around now, and I've seen them with the current lineup. They're okay, but Lowell George was the heart and soul of that band. Roger, do you have one?
He initiated this because he was talking about one of them.
I do have a couple. You know, it's funny when I go and look at my playlists. Most of the bands I listen to, I think, fall into this category. But there's one I always go back to when people ask me, you know, a similar type of, tell me about a band that you like that I might not necessarily know of. The first one that always comes to my mind is Belly. Belly is a band that I absolutely adore, have since they came out. You know, when I was started as a journalist, it's a band that I covered. So I got really familiar with their music, hung out with them a bunch of times at their shows and stuff. And really just a band that, you know, was nominated for Best New Artist, Best Alternative Album, had a really kind of cool start to their career, had a nice alt rock hit with Feed the Tree and Geppetto. And then I think that second album came out, which I think is even better than the first one, but didn't have that follow-up single that grabbed radio the way I think you need to jump to that next level.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of where, and listen, and after that, they kind of broke up and got back together like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And put out a third. They've only got 3 albums out in like 30 years and are doing great now. They're kind of back at that level where they were, which is fantastic. But it is a band who also had a resurgence recently because Geppetto was featured in Yellow Jackets, in a big scene in Yellow Jackets in the last season. So that, I think, brought them back into the attention of folks. But it is a band that still sounds fantastic live. They have these really quirky, cool, fun alt rock songs. They sound great. They look great. Just a really fun rock and roll band and a great band to go see.
It's the upside and downside of being so much a part of. I mean, they were so much a part of that alt rock moment.
Totally. Them throwing muses, Veruca Salt, it was all that.
And the moment moves, and how do you know? Can you navigate your way through that and out of that?
Exactly.
Which they threw up their hands and moved away. But that's the good part is you can surf that, but then that's the lane you're in.
Right.
Yeah. When they reformed, Tanya Donnelly was in the band, right?
It's the main lineup got back together. It's the Gorman brothers, Gail Greenwood on bass, and Tanya Donnelly up front.
Yeah. I feel you. Well, you probably love that first record through and through, I'm guessing. I did not.
100%.
Yeah.
I to this day, that is a record that all three of them, even the most recent one, I will listen to top to bottom. Great stuff.
Let's move on to some audience response, but let's start off with, we got a couple audio messages here, and let's hear what our man, Piano Tuner Paul, representing Pod Squad, has to say.
Hello, Mark and Alan. This is Piano Tuner Paul, and I am answering your question about bands that should be bigger. two bands that should be bigger, more famous is Government Mule and the Tedeschi Trucks Band. I don't think that they are as big as they should be. At least they can sell out a show at the Beacon or other venues. But the one that really I want to talk about, I saw them last night here in Charlotte, is the Allman Betts Band. Dwayne Betts, the son of Dickie Betts, and Devin Allman, the son of Greg Allman. And now even one of their drummers is the son of Roy Orbison. Their other drummer died in January, I think it was. But they are a fantastic band, and they have at least 2 albums of their own music, and not to mention solo music that they did before they teamed up with each other. And Dwayne Betts is a fantastic guitar player. He learned, his dad taught him well, Dickie Betts. And Devin Allman's been at it for a long time, many years. And he can play, he can sing. He's a great band leader. And this band needs to be more famous. They couldn't even sell out City Winery, I don't think, and they should, because they're so good. Also, last week I saw Todd Rundgren, and if anybody wants to go see Todd, I highly recommend it. It was a slightly mellow show. He had six men in the band plus himself, and he played a lot of songs from a lot of different albums, and I didn't know any of them, and I loved all of them. It was a deep tracks show. You really got to know Todd if you want to know these songs. But it was all good, and Todd does what Todd wants to do, and if he doesn't play the hits, too bad. And anybody that thinks that he should, well, they're at the wrong concert. So there's my reviews for today. Thank you guys for the show, and we'll see you next time.
All right, piano tuner Paul.
Now, I haven't seen the Allman Betts Band. I know we talked to them on the radio show a while back, and I've heard the records. That's, I think the Allman Betts Band should aspire to be as big as like Government Mule and Tedeschi Trucks are.
That's exactly right.
It's pretty established what kind of following those kinds of bands can have, and they can sell out theaters. Tedeschi Trucks can sell out 8 nights at the Beacon Theater. They sold out Madison Square Garden last year, and those bands can play festivals until the day they drop. But it's a long time since those have been like pop radio, like next level bands. I think we sort of know what the slot is to be successful doing that stuff. And I don't know that Government Mule is not going to be bigger than what they are. They're going to be what they are. And I imagine that Warren is really happy with and satisfied with what that is.
That comment that you made earlier about, some bands, that's where they are comfortable existing. And, they can sell out plenty of venues. They can sell out. They do just fine. And the jam band thing is a whole other animal. You start to discuss that.
Can be a successful way to make a living. It's just playing by its own rules and in its own sandbox. That's okay.
Right.
You want to read this? Got an email here you want to read before we throw out to the world?
I want to go to some of our pod squatters, man. All right. Mary in Cincinnati showed up early. Let's reward her.
And we heard from Mary in Cincinnati earlier on the show talking to Randy Travis.
Yes,
but
indeed.
she's back for more.
Fair enough.
Hi, guys. How are you doing?
Good.
Right.
A couple of bands came to mind to me, and both of these bands, I guess, had their moments and got pretty famous, but I look at it as that they've kind of been forgotten about. And the first one being the Babies. The Babies were big, and that Head First album was freaking amazing, but people tend to forget about them. John Waite was part of that band. Jonathan Cain was part of that band for a while. But I think they really don't get the respect they deserve, especially for that Head First album.
That's so funny, Mary, because one of the things I love John Waite. And he's one of the examples that I use of how it never happens that the lead singer leaves a band and becomes bigger than the band. But it happened with that guy.
Yep.
The other one from the 80s, The Outfield, should have been bigger than they were. They had Your Love, such a great song, such a great band, a fun band, just awesome. And they just never seemed to get over that hump of that one hit wonder.
Part of the issue was that John Spinks died. He was the writer. That put a serious crimp in the future of the band. Having said that, they sort of did continue. And Tony Lewis, he had a nice solo career for many, many years after the demise of the band. And I got a chance to see him on what I called the Death Cruise.
The 2020 cruise? Yes.
Our 80s cruise. Tony Lewis, I got to interview him. He was on that cruise. When we left, the world was normal. When we came back, we were in lockdown. And Tony did his last show on that boat. He was promoting a solo album that he had written with his wife. There was all kinds of things that were going to be happening for him. And he had the voice, and he had some great songs too. Like, I don't know, I want to say 7 months later, he passed. And not of COVID, from what I understand. I'm with you on that. I quite like them, but that, extenuating circumstances.
But Lord knows the hits. I mean, Your Love Lives On, like as a big TikTok song, right? Or something.
Yeah.
I mean, had a whole ongoing life for decades. So there's something there.
Yeah. Thank you, Mary.
All right.
Let's see. Up next, we got an email from Pod Squad member John. He says, my input is Archers of Loaf. They were supposed to be the next thing out of Chapel Hill, the Cat's Cradle scene. The songwriting fit the time, melodic, sing-alongable.
I like it.
And catchy. There's one dash that he's missing here, which messed me up. It's catchy. They fizzled away to obscurity. Maybe they were just a few years too late. Maybe I'm just nostalgic for the shows I caught as a young teenager, and I'm completely wrong. I've been fortunate to catch 2 Eric Bachman living room shows. He's still grinding along. Cheers, John.
That's funny to me. That's in that, like, I was thinking about answering this, the whole like power pop movement, right? Like Rockpile, DBs,
I count Nick Lowe in that band.
Like all those, and like there's part of you that's like, those should have been like, it's easy to like that stuff and it's super melodic and they're great bands. Just because they called themselves pop doesn't mean it was like popular pop. It was just for nerds who liked it. And those are always going to be why those could have been, but they weren't going to be contenders.
No. And that, not a great band name. I'm sorry.
Archers of Loaf.
Not helping there.
I would agree with that for sure, Roger. Are you saying that really that the power pop category just wasn't really birthing the superstars that we're talking about? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. I mean, again, it was, there's the part of your brain that's like, everybody would love this stuff. And there's a part of your brain that's like, yeah, everybody 20 years earlier who liked British Invasion, AM pop radio, except, those are the ones who did like them. Who else was going to like them? And I love those bands and I love those records. Yeah. But, at the time it felt frustrating. And in retrospect, you're like, yeah, I know.
The records.
There's so many. The Shoes.
Starry Eyes. Oh, so great. So many great ones. All right. I get it. Thank you, John. I appreciate that. I love the way you sort of backpedaled yourself there. There's no need to do that. Laurel, you got one for us?
I do. This is a band that started late 70s. I want to say 76, Sparks.
Oh, man. It's funny you say that. So, I guess they should have been bigger. They were pretty big.
Well, they were big in Europe and the UK. They had one initial hit in, I think it was 76, which is how I came to know them back then. And then they had the big song in the 80s with Jane Weedland. They did Cool Places.
Right, Sparks
and but I mean, they've scored and written a movie. They've got like 20 gazillion albums, and but I feel like no marketing executive maybe saw their marketability at the time. So I don't think that they were maybe given a lot of the marketing back then that was needed to maybe catch the attention of listeners. They also, after every album, sort of changed their genre. So, which I think maybe threw them for.
I don't know if you watched the documentary, and the documentary is great, but they are right up front saying anything we did that worked, that anybody said, oh, you could do more of that. We're like, okay, we're never doing that. Now we're going to do this other thing. And they've been able to do that for 50 years. They've been able to still stay together and still make these records. And, the documentary put some more spotlight on them and up the touring a little bit. But if you make that decision, that's
Right.
then that's
Right.
what you're doing.
I did finally see them last summer live. I took 50 years to see them. And they're amazing live. And that I was like, after I got out of the concert, I thought, okay, why aren't they touring more? Why did they never become so big, as big as they should have been? And yeah.
Laura, you said you saw him on this the reunion when after the doc and all that stuff
Last summer, yeah.
Yeah. Me too. I saw him then too. But don't you think when they first came out, that first album, I loved that first album. I was working in Philadelphia in radio, and we were a rock station, RAWK, and yet we added, what is it? This Town Ain't Big Enough for the Both of Us.
Yep.
That one, which is quirky. And if you think about, they're sort of like, in a weird way, just in terms of profile or image, like Cheap Trick. There was the weirdo guy and the super handsome guy. There was Robin Zander, and then there was Rick Nielsen, that kind of thing. And I think that people like, were they a joke? Were they fucking with us? What was it?
First time I heard Sparks was on a K-Tel compilation album.
Oh boy. There you go.
I predict was on a K-Tel album.
That'd be a good context for them because it would fit in between a lot of stuff. All right, let's Danielle. What do you want to jump in here with?
I wanted to mention the Smithereens. My husband's a big fan. He introduced me back in the early '90s. We've been to about 6 concerts, and we lost Pat D'Annunzio a handful of years ago. I have not seen them since with Marshall Crenshaw, but I was hoping to do that at some point. And I don't know. They had a bunch of hits, and they are so fun live. They're amazing.
Spot on. So many great songs. Totally cool. Like just a cool image and a rockin' band live. Good call.
Great call. Great. I mean, for the New York scene, they were just such a cool staple here. And I knew Pat. Pat was a great guy, and the whole band, just good people. And they could just destroy a stage live. They're so tight, so good, and so much fun.
So fun.
And able to crack the MTV thing for a minute there.
Yeah. About that long.
Right. But the kind of band that wouldn't be able to do, like some of these others that I mentioned out of that sort of thing, they figured it out and were able to, have that impact. So
had the moment for sure.
Had the moment.
Yeah.
All right.
Great one. Great call. Who else do we have? What do we have? More emails?
Got some more emails. Ella in New York City writes, this one's easy for me to answer. Definitely Low Cut Connie. And also
Philly band.
And also Fantastic Cat. I keep seeing Fantastic Cat everywhere, and I haven't listened. I'm inclined just because I like the name. But Ella's got the endorsement. Also really digging Joywave these days.
I think they're still on the way up. Too soon to say, gosh, they should have been bigger.
Right. Andrea, I don't know. The band I'd like to see become more popular is J.J. Gray and Mofro. Great frontman, incredible group of musicians. Also in that Southern rock jam band space, getting plenty of festival work.
Right.
But, where you go from there. So, and then we got one more audio.
Oh, this is from our friend Dina.
Hello, Sound Up people. This is Dina, Runnerwine Beach, and I am calling to tell you that, as I told Martha Quinn on the 40th anniversary of MTV, I think it was the 40th, that I think that Little Caesar should have been bigger than they were. They are such a great rock band. They're like a rock band's rock band. They do their own stuff well. They do covers well. They're entertaining. They're just fun to be around. And I've seen them a few times, and I'm hoping that I'll get to see them again and that Martha will come out to the West Coast to see them. But I just think that they should have been bigger. And as a honorable mention, with a hat tip to Joel, an honorable mention, another band called Sonia Dada should have been bigger. Now, their lead singer passed away, and that made it very difficult. But they are a fabulous band, and just their flame went out way, way too early. All right, I am on my way to see lovely Rita on Wednesday, which is why I'm sending this to you now. Hope you're all well. Bye.
I remember Sonia Dada. So.
Yeah. We had some more responses. I know we're running a tad long here, but on our socials, we had a couple of comments. Volume Maniacs Radio Network. There are so many in the hair band era that I think should have been bigger. Bango Tango, King of the Hill, Kick Tracy, Shotgun Messiah, Julie Marin Southern. I hope I'm saying that right. She says the Hooters. Right on. Another Philly band. I'm with you. Go West too. Really confusing to me. They had a great lead vocalist. I don't get it. Lone Justice.
Jimmy
Iovine band.
There are many reasons that they did not get bigger than they were, but God, I love those records.
From what I understand, correct me, I think politics was part of the reason that they didn't get bigger. There was shit going on within the band, but they also didn't have the songs.
Within the band,
Ways to Be Wicked was a hit, though, right?
Moderate hit.
We played it on MTV.
Having gotten the song from Petty, I mean, Jimmy Iovine forcing Tom Petty to give them that song.
And then they got the opening slot on the U2 tour, right?
I saw them open for U2.
Right. So how much more can you do, for God's sake?
And Maria was, a wild one. So, but I did love those records.
Yeah, for sure.
What else we got?
Who else? Brian Ives, our friend Brian Ives, 100%. The Interrupters. Smashing live band, one of the greatest bands I've ever seen or heard, says our friend Brian Ives.
He is a big champion of the Interrupters. Fair enough. A couple more real quick. Stacy says Counting Crows, my favorite band. It always surprises me they aren't more popular. And Matt Sukic, a great singer-songwriter out of New York. Don't know at all.
He should definitely be bigger.
Jeff, he's got to be bigger enough that we know who he is. Jeff Cornell says Portugal the Man, Our Lady Peace, and American Hi-Fi. Evan Berner, recent band I've become interested in is Ghost Hounds.
Oh.
And Laurie DeSantis with a second vote for Lone Justice.
Not bad. That's all right. Who's it? Oh, this is from Kevin in Arizona. Kevin in Arizona. We want you to sing songs from these bands, Kevin, but in lieu of that, bands I love that should be more famous from Kevin in Arizona. Chevelle. For sure. UFO. Deftones.
Deftones are a pretty big band.
They are pretty big. I mean, UFO in that column was big. Chevelle, not so much, but...
Yeah, but you ask most guitar players, like those metal guys, like the Metallica guys, all those guys feel like UFO should be a bigger band. They're a huge influence on a lot of bands.
For sure. I get that. And Kevin, open invitation. We would love to have you join us as part of our pod squad. We would love that.
Or send us give him the instructions to send us the voice memo.
Connect@sounduppod.com is where you can send a voice message to us, Kevin, speaking directly to you. We can do that here. Send us a voice message with anything that's on your mind. If you want to sing a couple of songs, we'd love to have that too. Really great to hear from Kevin in Arizona. I love that. So, all right, unless we got any more from our gathered pod squad, we're going to have to wrap this up. Go to sounduppod.com to find out how you can be a part of our live Sound Up, Sound Off podcast taping and join the Sound Up Pod Squad. Email us at connect@sounduppod.com.
And remember, you can hear our new music picks and the music that we talk about during the show all on our Sound Up Pod soundtrack playlist on Spotify. Don't forget, go over and give us a 5-star rating on whichever platform you listen to Sound Up on. Mark, you want to say goodnight?
Good night, Mark.
Really? That's how you sign up? You guys suck.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Good night. Thank you for coming.
Nice. That's what I'm talking about.
Sound Up is hosted by Mark Goodman and Alan Light, produced by Roger Coletti, distributed by Revolver Podcasts. Get Sound Up on Pandora Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. To be a part of the show, email us at connect@sounduppod.com. Sound Up theme music is by Smile from Tokyo. We'll see you next time right here on Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light.